stream, QTP test process. Come to our mainstream, QTP test process. Just a minute. See, first phase, planning. What are the important things in this planning phase? See, initial task, get technology or environment details. Get environment details. Application environment. Get environment details from development team. Get environment, application environment details from development team. Why application environment details? Here, what are the important details? UI design technology, UI design, user interface design, technology, and database. These two are important. Forget about remaining things. What is web server, what is application server, etc. User interface design technology and database information is important. First task in this planning stage, get environment, application environment details from development team. Why? Suppose if it is manual testing, you no need to get application environment details. If you know the application environment details, that is added advantage, that is useful. But in automation, application environment details is mandatory. Why? See, automation tools support based on add-ins, technology compatible files. You know, if you want to test Java application, Java add-in required. If you want to test SAP application, SAP add-in required. Manual testing not like that. Irrespective of the application, you can apply test methodologies. If it is Java application or .NET application, irrespective of the technology, you can apply your test cases. But here in test automation, you need to select add-ins, appropriate add-ins first. If it is Java application, Java add-in required, SAP application, SAP add-in required, PeopleSoft application, PeopleSoft add-in required. In order to select appropriate add-ins, environment details required. Getting this point, Soumya? Understand the concept? Why we need to get environment details? You tell me, Srikanth, why we need to get environment details? Good. See, in order to select appropriate add-ins, first we need to get application environment details from development team. Next, analyze the next task. See, anyhow it is a roadmap for the program. Here I am just indexing the concepts. Later we will discuss each and every concept in detailed manner. This is only roadmap for the program, roadmap. Here I am just providing brief introduction. Later we will in future classes we will discuss each and every concept in detailed manner. This is just a roadmap only. See, analyze the AUT. Analyze the AUT. AUT means application under test. Analyze the AUT in terms of object identification. Analyze the AUT in terms of object identification. Say, major challenge in functional test automation. Not only in QTP tool, you take any tool, RFT, Silk Test, Selenium. Major challenge is object identification. If tool identifies all of our application front-end objects, then writing scripts is very easy. Major challenge in functional test automation is object identification. See, analyze the AUT in terms of object identification. See, in automation framework design and implementation chapter, we will discuss how to analyze. Suppose if QTP is not recognizing some of our application objects, then what are the solutions, etc. Just I will give brief idea how to analyze the AUT in terms of object identification. Three possibilities are there. First possibility, by record and playback some end-to-end scenarios. You record some navigations, just record, no need to insert verification points, etc. You just record plain navigations and playback. If QTP is playing back properly, then you can easily identify tool is recognizing all of our application objects. If any problems in playback, means execution, so you can identify QTP is not recognizing some objects, like by record and playback some navigations, by record and playback some end-to-end scenarios, we can analyze. That is one possibility. Second possibility, using object spy. Object spy is handy feature of QTP tool. Handy feature of QTP tool, it gets objects information. Objects information in the sense properties and values and applicable methods on that object. Yesterday I introduced object spy. Using object spy we can get objects information. Next one, using view options in object repository. Two view options available in object repository. One is highlight in application, another is locate in repository. What is the purpose of view options? Using view options, we can map objects in between object repository and application under test. We can map objects in between object repository and application under test using view options. See, these three possibilities available. Best method is recording. Record and playback some navigations. Now tell me, Soumya, how to analyze the AUT in terms of object identification? Object spy. Yes. Good. Record and playback is best method. Record and playback is best method. Okay. See, analyze the AUT in terms of object identification. Next one. After analyzing, select areas. Select areas or test cases for automation. Select areas or test cases for automation. See here in this area, no restrictions and no recommendations from vendor side also. No restrictions, no limitations, but generally we select three common areas. We select three common areas. What are the common areas? Tests that we have to execute on every build. Tests that we have to execute on every build. Example, sanity tests. Say every time execution, automation is better. Second one, tests that we have to execute on every modified build. Regression tests. Third one, tests that we have to execute with multiple sets of test data. Data driven tests. See, these three areas are common for test automation, but no restrictions, no limitations, and no recommendations from vendor side. See, once again, selecting areas or test cases for automation. Generally, we select three common areas. First area, tests that we have to execute on every build. Sanity tests. You know what is sanity testing? Verifying whether the build is acceptable or not by executing basic functionality tests. Next, second area, tests that we have to execute on every modified build. Regression tests. See, sanity tests, static means fixed, constant, fixed. See, most of the time sanity tests fixed, but regression tests dynamic. Depends on strength of development team and complexity of the application. Anyhow, multiple times execution, automation is better. Next, third area, tests that we have to executing with multiple sets of test data. Data driven tests. We already discussed why data driven testing, for positive and negative testing. Okay, these are the three common areas. Tell me, Srikant, what are the three common areas that we select for automation? Good, good. And one more thing, when to start test automation process? When to start test automation process? Say, this is common interview question. When you start test automation process? No restrictions, no limitations. Depends. Say, I will explain three scenarios, concentrate. See, some companies start test automation process at beginning of the project for complete testing, means sanity, comprehensive, regression testing. First they divide manual test cases and automated tests. From beginning they automate. Some companies start test automation process at middle of the project. Middle means after completion of comprehensive testing. After completion of first cycle of test execution, see, suppose we prepared 1000 test cases. See, execute all possible cases manually. After first cycle of execution, some companies plan for automation. their purpose is only re and regression testing. Only for regression testing, some companies use automation tools. Next, some companies start test automation process at the end of the project. Why end of the project? Say some financial critical projects are there. Sometimes customer won't accept automation at beginning or middle of the project. Customer asks, see, complete release manual, complete release, you use manual testing. Take more manpower, time, test manually. After first release, you can use tool. After software release, why automation? For maintenance. Say some companies maintenance contracts 5 years, 7 years, 10 years like. See, maintenance time, in order to process customer requests quickly, you can use automation. So no restrictions, no limitations. Depends on project, depends on customer interest, we start test automation. Some companies plan test automation. Some companies plan test automation process at beginning of the project. Some companies at middle of the project. Some companies at end of the project after first release for maintenance. So depend on your project, even you can explain. No restrictions, no limitations. Interviewer also cannot argue that. Why? No universal process. Depends. Got the point, Soumya? Understand the concept? When to start test automation process? Yes, depends on the project and customer interest also, isn't it? Yes. Let's move to next topic. Tool settings. One more planning activity. Tool settings. Configuration. Tool settings, configuration and globalize. Tool settings, configuration and globalize. Tool settings, configuration and globalize. Say, already we discussed, you take any software, you can find two types of features. One is constant features, another is configurable features. Constant features that we have to use as it is. Configurable features, according to our needs we can customize those features. In QTP tool also you can find these two types of features. Constant features, configurable features. Examples for constant features in QTP: UFT, new name of QTP tool, Unified Functional Testing, formerly QTP, now no QTP name. After 6 months, no QTP, UFT only, Unified Functional Testing. Okay. Examples for constant features. Recording is constant feature. Data table is constant feature. Object repository, object spy, step generator, all these are constant features. Next, configurable features. Examples for configurable features. Yesterday we discussed that concept. Can you give Can you give examples, Soumya? Examples for configurable features. Okay. Object identification configuration, virtual object configuration, tool options configuration, test settings configuration, etc. Say, according to our project, we need to configure tool settings. According to our project, we need to configure tool settings. See, important areas: object identification configuration, test settings configuration, tool options configuration, virtual object configuration, etc. Okay, configuration okay, tool settings configuration okay. According to our project, we can configure. What is this globalize? Globalizing tool features. What is globalizing tool settings? Tool settings configuration okay. What is globalizing tool settings? Globalizing tool settings means providing common configuration for all missions. Providing common configuration for all missions. Why globalizing? Already we discussed. QTP is not a client server application. It is one tier application, standalone application, desktop application. It is standalone application. It doesn't have any database. It doesn't have client server architecture. Suppose we 4 or 5 members working for a project. We 4 or 5 members working for a project using 4 or 5 missions. As a team lead or test lead, if I configure settings in my mission, how can all team members can get same configuration? It is not client server application. If it is client server application, if you perform settings at server and all clients can get same settings. But it is standalone application. Yes. Since it is standalone application, we need to globalize the tool settings, means providing common configuration for all missions. No problem. To do that, QTP has provided one special feature. That feature is called generate script, that we will discuss in administration chapter. Using that generate script feature, we can globalize tool settings. Getting the concept, Srikanth? Tool settings, configuration and globalize. Why globalizing tool settings? One. Yes. See, in order to provide common configuration for all missions, we need to globalize tool settings. For that, QTP has provided special feature called generate script feature. Using that feature, we can globalize. That we will discuss in QTP administration chapter. Just remember, tool settings configuration and globalize also one of the important task in planning stage. See, these 4 are the mandatory tasks in planning stage, but one optional task also there. Optional but important, nowadays very important, that is automation framework design and implementation. See, design is company level, implementation is project level. You no need to design every time. If you design framework structure once, that can be applied for multiple projects. See, automation framework design design not every time, that is company level. Automation framework implementation, this is project level. It is optional but important. Anyhow, this automation framework implementation, this chapter takes nearly 6 to 7 hours. In that chapter, we will discuss a keyword driven framework, next data driven hybrid framework, etc. using a Windows based application and a web based application. It takes nearly 6 to 7 hours. In that chapter, we will discuss theoretical concepts as well as practical concepts. Just remember, just know the definition. What is automation framework? See, automation framework, it is a systematic approach to automate software test process. It is a systematic approach to automate software test process. See, without automation framework also we can automate our software test process. Without framework also we can create and execute tests. That's why I already mentioned it is optional but important. Systematic approach nowadays is mandatory. Nowadays is very, very important. But without automation framework also we can create and execute tests. What is automation framework? Tell me, Soumya, what is automation framework? Yes, it is a systematic approach to automate software test process. See, these are the important tasks in first phase of QTP test process, planning. See, 5 important tasks in planning stage or phase. What are the 5? First one, get application environment details from development team. Application environment details, not all details. Complete application environment details not required. If you know the complete environment details, added advantage, better, no problem. But important things are user interface design technology, next database. Why we need to get this environment, application environment details? See, functional automation tools are object-based test tools. Based on front-end objects, they perform test operations. But some exceptions are there. For database testing, no front-end object reference required. QTP has an integrated SQL engine. Using integrated SQL engine, QTP can communicate with databases. But database information also required. This is first task. Second task, analyze the AUT in terms of object identification. See, major challenge in functional test automation, object identification. So, analyze the AUT. AUT means application under test. Analyze the AUT in terms of object identification. For that, 3 methods I explained. One is by record and playback some end-to-end scenarios. Second one, using object spy. Third one, using view options in object repository. See, using view options, we can map objects in between object repository and application under test. Mapping objects in between object repository and application under test. Next, third important task, Select areas or test cases for automation. Here already we discussed no restrictions, no limitations, but three common areas generally we select for automation. First area, tests that we have to select, tests that we have to execute on every build. Example, sanity tests. Second area, tests that we have to execute on every modified build. Example, regression tests. Third area, tests that we have to execute with multiple sets of test data. Example, data driven tests. Next important task, tool settings configuration and globalize. Last one, that is optional but nowadays important, automation framework design and implementation. Automation framework design and implementation. Okay. Next, come to next stage. Second stage of QTP test process, generating basic tests. Say in manual testing, test design only one stage, but here in automation, test design divided into two sub stages. One is generating basic tests. Next, enhancing tests. Generating basic tests, enhancing tests. What is the difference between these two stages? Generating basic tests means creating plain navigation. Enhancing tests means inserting verification points. Next, error handling, adding comments, parameterizing tests if required, synchronization if required, etc. See, generating basic tests means creating plain navigation. Enhancing tests means based on requirements, inserting verification points, adding comments, providing error handling statements, parameterization if required, synchronization if required, etc. See, generating basic tests is simple task, enhancing tests is difficult task, intelligent task. Okay. First, generating basic tests. Do you have any ideas, Srikanth, how to generate tests in QTP? How we no idea. Okay. At least single method. Okay. Okay, cool. See, generating basic tests. Concentrate. See, in high level orientation, we have two methods for generating tests. In high level orientation, we have two methods for generating basic tests. 1 minute, I will be back. See, generating basic tests. See, in QTP, we have two methods for generating tests. In high level orientation, we have two methods for generating basic tests. First method is object repository based test design. Object repository based test design. See, object repository based test design. Again, in object repository based test design, two sub methods are there. Not sub methods, you can use any one method or both methods. One is recording. Another is the term is keyword driven methodology. Keyword driven methodology. What is keyword driven methodology? Generating tests manually using shared object repositories without recording. What is the use of without recording? That we will discuss in creating test chapter. Some advantages are there. Recording is easy, but some drawbacks are there. Keyword driven methodology is difficult, but advantages are there. See, generating basic tests. For generating basic tests, in high level orientation, we have two methods in QTP. We have two methods. First one is object repository based test design. Second one is non-repository, without repository, that is descriptive programming. Descriptive programming. Say again, in descriptive programming, two methods available. One is static programming. Static programming. Next one, dynamic programming. Static programming, dynamic programming. Next, one more thing, QTP supports hybrid approach also. Hybrid method, hybrid approach also. What is hybrid? Hybrid means it is a combination of two or more approaches. Minimum two approaches. Combination of two or more approaches. QTP supports hybrid approach also for designing tests or for creating tests. Designing tests, generating tests, creating tests, all are synonyms. Means, suppose in your project total 100 tests. You use object repository based test design for some tests, 50 tests example. Remaining tests descriptive programming. No issues, no confliction. Say, suppose in your project you want to create 100 tests. Use object repository based test design for creating all 100 tests. That is one method. Next, use descriptive programming for creating all 100 tests. That is another scenario. Next, third one, hybrid. Use object repository based test design for some tests. Use descriptive programming for creating some tests. No issues, no confliction. Got the point, Srikanth? See once again, in QTP we have two methods for creating tests. One is object repository based test design, another is descriptive programming. Object repository based test design, another is descriptive programming. Again, in object repository based test design, two methods available. One is recording, another is keyword driven methodology without recording. What is keyword driven methodology? Generating tests manually using shared repositories. Next, descriptive programming means non-repository, without repository. Another name of descriptive programming, programmatic descriptions. Actually, this descriptive programming term is mass term, but nowadays 90% people using this term. But HP, a vendor of QTP tool, never used this descriptive programming term. They used programmatic descriptions. In their documentation, they used programmatic descriptions. But no problem, you can use descriptive programming term. See, another name of this one is programmatic descriptions. Programmatic descriptions without repositories. With repository, see, first method with repository. With repository. Second method without repository. Object repository based test design, descriptive programming. Again, an object repository based test design, two methods, recording, keyword driven methodology. Keyword driven methodology means generating tests manually. Manually means by typing. Generating tests manually using shared object repositories without recording. Next, descriptive programming. Next, QTP also supports hybrid approach. Some tests using object repository, some tests using descriptive programming. See, this is a brief introduction about generating basic tests. In that chapter takes nearly 4 hours. In that chapter, I will explain all methods with examples. Next, come to enhancing tests. Enhancing tests. Don't confuse. Modifying tests is different. Enhancing tests is different. Modifying tests means based on changes in requirements, we modify tests. But enhancing means with respect to requirements, we insert verification points, we parameterize tests. Next, provide error handling, adding comments. All these are comes under enhancing. Enhancing test is different. Modifying test is different. Enhancing test is important task. See, for enhancing tests, we have QTP tool features as well as VBScript features. See, in generating tests, all are belongs to QTP tool only. See, somebody feeling descriptive programming belongs to VBScript. See, not only descriptive programming, recording code also belongs to VBScript only. But VBScript doesn't recognize objects. QTP only recognizes objects. QTP only recognizes objects. VBScript doesn't recognize objects. Generally, we use VBScript for enhancing tests. For generating basic tests, QTP tool features are only solution. VBScript doesn't recognize tests. VBScript doesn't recognize objects. Suppose if VBScript recognizes objects, then no use of tool, no use of QTP IDE. QTP tool only recognizes objects. We use VBScript for enhancing tests. Okay. That recorded code, descriptive code, all are VBScript syntax, but QTP only recognizes objects. See, descriptive programming also belongs to QTP. Why? QTP only recognizes objects. But in enhancing tests, alternates. We have tool features as well as script features, VBScript features. Understand the concept, Soumya? Understand the concept? Any confusion? In enhancing tests, we have QTP tool features as well as VBScript features. Nearly 12 to 13 enhancing methods are there. I will introduce all methods, but for each and every test, all methods not required. Based on your requirement, you can use them. Suppose for one test, 2 enhancing methods enough. For one test, 1 enhancing methods also sufficient. For one test, 4 or 5 enhancing methods required. Example, based on your requirements, you can use them. But I will introduce all possibilities, all methods, nearly 12 to 13 enhancing methods available, but all are not required for each and every test. Based on your requirements, you can use. For one test, 2 enhancing methods enough. For one test, 1 enhancing method also sufficient. Based on your requirements, you can use them. See, before listing out enhancing methods, anyhow, this is only indexing chapter, roadmap for the program. Here I am not providing any practical concept, only theoretical approach. This is just a roadmap for the program. I am just introducing the concepts. Later we will discuss each and every concept in detailed manner. See, before listing out these enhancing methods, one suggestion, one recommendation, try to increase the usage of VBScript features. Try to increase the usage of VBScript features. Reduce the usage of QTP tool features in this area. See, recommendation is try to increase the usage of VBScript features. Why? Do you have any idea, Srikanth? Okay. Try to increase the usage of VBScript features. Why? 4 reasons. First reason, script features are faster in execution than tool features. Script features, VBScript features are faster in execution than tool features. Why? Suppose if we use tool features, tool has to create and maintain some registry files, internal registry files, some burden on QTP tool. If we use script features, no burden on tool. So script features are fast in execution. Example, if you suppose I want to verify login operation, if I insert tool feature checkpoint, burden on QTP tool, slower in execution. Instead of tool feature checkpoint, if I use script feature conditional statements, if so and so, then do something else, do something, and if. No burden on tool. So instead of checkpoint, if we use conditional statements, faster in execution. That is one concern. Next reason, tool features may corrupt, may not corrupt, but there is a possibility to corrupt. But script features won't corrupt. Third reason, ready-made environments have limitations. Tool feature is ready-made environment. Ready-made environments have limitations, but scripting logic doesn't have any limitation. See, in future you can get more clarity. I will give one small example. Inserting transaction points, one feature is there, that is tool feature. For measuring transaction time, basically QTP is a functional and regression test tool, but it also supports little bit performance testing. We can measure test transaction time using transaction points. QTP providing one feature, transaction points, start and end transaction. Using start and end transaction points, you can measure test transaction time. If we use QTP tool feature transaction points, it passes that time in seconds to result window only. Test transaction time to, it passes test transaction time to QTP result window only. If you want to display the result locally, you can't display. If you want to export that value to external files, you can't export. Why? Tool features have limitations. Instead of tool feature that inserting transaction points, instead of that feature, if we use VBScript feature timer function, you can pass the value to result window. You can export the value to external files. You can display the value locally. Scripting logic doesn't have any limitations. That is third reason. Next, fourth reason. All script features can be used internally as well as externally. But some tool features, not all, but some tool features can't be used externally. Some tool features can't be used externally. What is internal use? What is external use? Internal use means accessing features from QTP editor, QTP tool. External use means accessing features from external library files. Example, functions, user-defined functions. See, all script features can be executed internally as well as externally. All script features can be used internally as well as externally, but some tool features can't be used externally. See, that's why try to increase the usage of VBScript features. See, 4 reasons I have explained. List out the reasons. Soumya, quick. Won't corrupt. Some tool features can be used. Don't confuse. Some tool features only can't be used externally. Some tool features can be used internally and externally, but all script features can be used internally and externally. Okay? See, once again, within 2 minutes, here recommendation is try to increase the usage of VBScript features. Reduce the usage of tool features, QTP tool features. Why? Script features are fast in execution than tool features. Second one, tool features may corrupt. May corrupt, may not corrupt, but there is a possibility. But script features won't corrupt. Third reason, ready-made environments have limitations, but scripting logic doesn't have any limitations. Last one, all script features can be used internally as well as externally, but some tool features can't be used externally. Okay, next I am listing out enhancing methods. Inserting Here no sequence, no dependencies, all are independent methods. You can discuss in any order. No sequence, no dependencies, all are independent methods. Inserting checkpoints. 1 minute. Checkpoints, single word. Inserting checkpoints. It is QTP tool feature. QTP tool feature. Say up to QTP 11 checkpoints available. In UFT, Unified Functional Testing, advanced version of QTP. In UFT 11.5, one checkpoint added. That added checkpoint name is file content checkpoint. So in QTP 11.5, UFT 11.5, total checkpoints are 12 checkpoints. 9 plus 3 checkpoints. Why I am writing 9 plus 3 checkpoints? 9 checkpoints are direct checkpoints, 3 checkpoints hidden checkpoints, no direct options. Using standard checkpoint we can insert hidden checkpoints. Total 12 checkpoints. But in QTP 11 version, 11 checkpoints only. But in 11.5 UFT, Unified Functional Testing, one checkpoint added. What is that added checkpoint, Srikanth? What is the added one? Not sure. Already I told now. File content checkpoint. Okay. Next, inserting output values. Inserting output values. This is also QTP tool feature. Up to QTP 11 version, 6 output values. In 11.5 UFT, one output value added. The added one is file content output value. Total 7 are direct. See checkpoints output values. Checkpoint, just I will give brief idea. Anyhow, that chapter takes nearly 2 hours. Just brief idea. What is checkpoint? It is a verification point. Takes expected result from the user. User means tester. And compares with the actual results during execution and provides test result. Don't confuse. 3 results are used in this definition. Expected result, actual result, test result. Suppose 3, 5 input addition is operation. Expected result 8. Suppose expected 8. If actual also 8, then test result is pass. Expected result, actual result, test result. See, what is checkpoint? It is a verification point. Takes expected result from the user means tester, and compares with the actual results during execution and provides test results. Anyhow, it is generic definition, common definition, but every checkpoint is unique. See, total 12 checkpoints. 12 checkpoints are unique. 12 checkpoints have their own definitions, but what I provided, that is generic definition, but every checkpoint is unique. Standard checkpoint definition is different, page checkpoint is different, image checkpoint is different, XML checkpoint is different. Every checkpoint is unique, but I provided just a common definition. In that chapter, I will explain all 12 checkpoints definitions and navigations and examples. That takes nearly 2 hours. Next, inserting output values. Actually, it is unnecessary feature in QTP tool. Most of the time, we don't use this feature. What is output value? It captures output during execution and stores into runtime data table. It captures output during execution and stores into runtime data table. This is also generic definition. We have 7 output values. Every output value definition, every output value is unique. Purpose is unique. Okay. Next, important one. Already I told here, no sequence, no dependencies, all are independent things. Important one, parameterization. Parameterization. See, for parameterization, we have QTP tool features as well as VBScript features. See, checkpoints alternates also there. Instead of checkpoints, we can use VBScript flow control statements. Parameterization, it is a global concept, general concept. You can find parameterization feature in all programming languages and scripting languages. Important concept. Have any idea, Soumya, what is parameterization? No idea. What about you, Srikanth? What is parameterization?
Some of the variables we will make them as parameters. So we can change them during the runtime by providing different values. That brings dynamic execution with different values.
Okay. See, simple definition, classical definition. Parameterization. It is a process of replacing constant values with parameters. Replacing constant values with parameters. Constant value means fixed value. Suppose username, some Hyderabad. Password, XYZ. Hyderabad password. Hyderabad is username. Password is XYZ. These are fixed values. Suppose if you execute that script 100 times, that uses Hyderabad as password. Hyderabad as username, XYZ as password. Suppose if you want to send different values, you need to use parameters. See, parameterization means replacing constant values with parameters. Replacing constant values with parameters. See, generally we use either variables or VBScript constants or arguments or data table parameters or action parameters or environment variables or dictionary items as parameters. See, different containers available. We can use either VBScript variables, VBScript constants. Don't confuse. English constant is different, VBScript constant is different. English constant means fixed value, VBScript constant is different. We can use either VBScript variables or VBScript constants or action parameters or environment variables or data table parameters or arguments or dictionary items as parameters. Different containers available. But important things are, if it is script level, generally we use variables. If it is script level, we use variables. If it is function level, we use arguments. But no restrictions. So many containers available. But important things are, if it is script level, generally we use variables as parameters. If it is function level, we use arguments as parameters. Understand the concept, Soumya? Parameterization. Okay. Next. Okay. Parameterization. What is parameterization? Okay. What is parameterization? Replacing constant values with parameters. But why parameterization? Tell me, Srikanth, why parameterization? Okay, see here two advantages. First one is to pass dynamic values. Second one, to pass multiple values. Data driven testing. Don't confuse, parameterization is different, data driven testing is different. We use parameterization feature in data driven testing, that I will explain in parameterization chapter. This chapter takes nearly 2.5 hours. In that chapter I will explain. Parameterization is different, data driven testing is different. Parameterization is global feature, data driven testing local feature. Parameterization is superior. We use parameterization feature in data driven testing. See, what are the advantages of parameterization? To pass dynamic values. Single value but dynamic value. Second one is to pass multiple values. Data driven testing means to pass multiple values. Parameterization means not only passing multiple values, also passing single dynamic value, also parameterization. See, scope is high. Okay. To pass single dynamic value, to pass multiple values. These are the advantages of parameterization. To pass multiple values, okay. Why we pass multiple values? For data driven testing. Why data driven testing? For positive and negative testing. To pass multiple values, okay. For positive and negative testing, we use multiple values, different sets of test data. But why we pass single dynamic value? Yes, sometimes we pass. Why? Where? Suppose I have one function, user defined function login. I want to call that function from 20 to 30 tests. 20 to 30 tests require that login function. I want to use single user ID password only, but every time I want to use different data. Suppose for first test, user ID 1, user ID password 1. For second test, user ID 2, password 2. For third test, user ID 3, password 3. I want to use single values but dynamic values. That time you can use parameters. Understand the concept, Srikanth? What is the advantage of parameterization? Two advantages we discussed. Tell me two advantages. Good, exactly. See, next come to next topic. Next one also important one. Synchronization. Synchronization. For synchronization also we have both QTP tool features as well as VBScript features. Example, QTP tool feature synchronization point, VBScript feature wait statement. Synchronization, it is also global term, and not only in QTP test automation. You can find this term in databases and programming language also. In Java also synchronization term is there. In Oracle also synchronization term is there. Synchronization global term. See, I will provide two definitions. One is global definition, another is QTP point of view definition. First, global definition. What is synchronization? It is a process of matching speeds of two things. Matching, don't confuse. Matching, mapping. Mapping is different, matching is different. It is a process of matching speeds of two things. That is general definition. Global definition. Next, QTP point of view. What is synchronization? It is a process of matching the speeds of QTP tool and application in order to get proper execution and result. See here two things. One, first thing is QTP tool. Next one, application under test. One is tool, another is application. Tool, application. What is synchronization? QTP tool point of view. It is a process of matching the speeds of QTP tool and application in order to get proper execution and result. What is synchronization is okay. Why synchronization? Why synchronization? See, during execution, when we get synchronization problem during execution, actually synchronization comes under error handling, but nowadays it is independent topic, but actually we synchronize tests in order to avoid errors. Synchronization comes under error handling, but nowadays independent topic. Why synchronization? During execution, QTP gives instructions one by one with same speed. No issues with QTP tool. During execution, QTP gives instructions one by one with same speed. But application takes less time for some statements execution and more time for some statements execution. In order to keep them in sync, synchronization is required. See once again, why synchronization? During execution, QTP gives instructions one by one with same speed, but application takes less time for some statements execution and more time for some statements execution. In order to keep them in sync, synchronization is required. Why application takes more time for some statement execution? Here we can't blame the application also. We cannot blame the application also. Why? Some statements may take more time for execution. Example, see, enter a value into edit box. Application can respond quickly. Click on link, click on OK button. Application can respond quickly. Uploading process, downloading process, they may take more time. Here we can't blame the application also. Okay, what is synchronization? Why synchronization? But when it is required exactly? Synchronization is required when it is required exactly. See, for each and every test, synchronization is not required. For some tests only, synchronization is required. When it is required exactly? See, QTP tool default synchronization time is 20 seconds. If any statement takes more than 20 seconds, there only synchronization required. See, now I think all of you familiar with three concepts. What is synchronization? Why synchronization? When synchronization is required. Next, one more concept is there, that is practical concept, that I will explain in practical chapter, that is how to synchronize. See, anyhow, this chapter takes 1 hour. Synchronization chapter takes nearly 1 hour. In that chapter, I will provide practical how to synchronize. Up to now, just remember what is synchronization, why synchronization, when synchronization is required. See, once again, what is synchronization? First, global definition is a matching the speeds of two things. Matching the speeds of, it is a process of matching the speeds of two things. Next, QTP point of view. What is synchronization? It is a process of matching the speeds of QTP tool and application in order to get proper execution and result. Next, why synchronization? During execution, QTP gives instructions one by one with same speed, but application takes less time for some statements execution and more time for some statements execution. In order to keep them in sync, synchronization is required. Synchronization is required, but when it is required exactly? See, for each and every test, synchronization is not required. QTP tool default synchronization time is 20 seconds. If any statement takes more than 20 seconds, there only synchronization is required. Okay? See, nearly 12 to 13 enhancing methods are there. We will continue tomorrow, same time. Thank you.